You're listening to the ISACA Journal podcast. In this edition of the podcast, we're speaking with Daksha Bhaskar, author of the ISACA Journal Volume 5 article titled Balancing the Cybersecurity Battlefield. In her article, she discusses the gender imbalance among cybersecurity professionals, why it is harmful, and how it can be addressed. So Daksha, what motivated you to write this article?
Certainly several years in the security industry, and the observation that not only am I in the minority as a woman, especially with technical skills, but I actually stick out like a sore thumb at industry events and conferences. And then you have an industry that is in deficit, desperately seeking security talent, yet ignoring the obvious talent pool. The industry seems to be set on hiring more like themselves. They appear to be seeking the technical nerdy types, when in reality, women, people with diverse education and backgrounds, such as psychology or political science majors, would make brilliant security resources and are being overlooked. And it is ironic that, in effect, the industry is propagating homogeneity while seeking diversity. And it's as if the product is not being recognized because of its packaging. The resources that are available are not being leveraged. So a dialogue to dispel this is imperative.
In what ways is the cybersecurity battlefield imbalanced?
This is an obvious yet fascinating situation. And to highlight the imbalance, let me break the players on the battlefield into a few groups. And it'll become self-evident. So on the one hand, you have the hackers, the bad guys, and they range from script kiddies, individual experts, to highly sophisticated organizations. On the other side, you have users of technology and information, and this includes practically everybody: women, children, governments, politicians, and even increasingly machines. And these users are exploited by the hackers for the information they have access to. Now, on the third side, you have keepers of the information, if you will, the folks who design the technology, the infrastructure, and the safeguards for the information, the security experts. But this group is predominantly male. It's very homogeneous, with similar professional profiles. And this group attempts to protect the entire user demographic with its raging diversity against the hacker group, which utilizes absolutely any resource at its disposal to complete their exploit. So there you have it, right? You see the glaring imbalance. And if the security experts were to harness the perspective of the diverse user population, including women, they would be significantly ahead in combating the bad actors.
Your article says that only 11% of information security professionals are women, with about 56% of those women leaving the sector by mid-career. Why is this detrimental?
Well, the cybersecurity industry is in a position of severe skill shortage. And it is an industry where diversity of almost any manner is an asset. And it is indeed sad that a large percentage of the small number of women that do enter the industry exit, leaving a void behind them. And this is mature talent that has already been developed walking out the door. While this flags a bigger issue in the state of the industry with respect to retention of women, the departure of women only further propagates the problem of reduced diversity. So you have a situation where there's severe skill shortage, a requirement for diversity to strengthen your security posture, and an industry, that is struggling to fill this gap and would benefit significantly by including the other half of the population that are users of information technology. So it is a woeful situation.
What unique perspectives might women bring to the cybersecurity field?
So women as security practitioners would bring new and deeper insights just by being different from the norm. They would bring social, psychological, emotional, technical, and even information about physical vulnerabilities that the attackers are preying on today. And to say the least, they are the half of the other user population that is currently underrepresented in the security community. And actually, I referenced some studies in the article as well, where studies have shown that in general, groups are collectively more intelligent than individuals. And the intelligence of this group progressively increases proportionate to the number of women in this group. So it has been proven, and it's something that's even recognized by the U.S. military, that women make vital contribution to critical and creative thinking in decision making towards security, even national security. So it's absolutely imperative women are brought onto the scene and the cybersecurity field is balanced out.
What are some barriers that women face when entering the cybersecurity arena, and how might these be addressed?
So with cybersecurity, women are unfortunately at crossroads of multiple barriers and unconscious biases. The big one is, of course, the image of the industry that appears uninviting to women. And media portrays the average security expert as the lone wolf, nerdy basement dweller type. And there's very few, if ever, women portrayed as security experts, as that ninja warrior, so to speak. And in general, the cybersecurity profession is associated with men. So women don't even see themselves in the profession. And it's just a general perception and barrier that's already out there in the industry. And the ones who do enter the cybersecurity field, women that is, often have this isolating experience and they struggle for acceptance and they eventually leave. In addition to that, there's the perception that it's only core sciences, technical and engineering people that actually fit in this field, when in reality, it's a very broad spread of expertise that is needed to be successful to protect the information and assets. So in the face of the skills shortage, I think it's important the industry overhauls its image, probably into something that portrays business sophistication, one that's welcoming and inclusive of women, and one that actually values the unique and diverse expertise that is being brought in. And there needs to be socialization that security is for everybody. Anybody who uses information technology is part of the security process and protocol. And diversity of education and experience is actually critical in building strong countermeasures and security postures. And most importantly, it is about finding your allies amidst the established industry players and experienced mentors who can show the new entrants and women the ropes in the industry.
Your article mentions the Madame Curie effect. What is this effect, and how does it relate to women in cybersecurity?
The Madame Curie effect, in this case, has little to do with radiation. So basically, women have a tendency to overcompensate for being in a male-dominated field. And this phenomena is referred to as the Madame Curie effect. And it literally means that women believe that they must become more qualified and develop exceptional ability to compete with men in male-dominated sciences. I can almost hear a lot of women relating to this as I say it. And this is really a result of women not having had a history of role models in the industry and just by default believing that certain professions are for men. And they try harder to be competent just to prove themselves as equal. And that aside, they simply lack the support that's sensitive to women, and they need the mentorship to get past this. So I feel that if women were actually aware of this tendency and understand that by virtue of the difference alone, the variation in skills and their spontaneous insights, they bring value to cybersecurity, I would hope it would encourage women to take that leap in faith and plunge boldly into this field.
Your article mentions the culture of secret intelligence. How might secrets exclude newcomers, and what can be done to prevent this exclusion?
So we are in an era of information assets, and this means that knowledge of coveted information can have significant impacts, be it good or bad, and is often guarded, protected, and limited to the people who need to know. And with knowledge comes power, and the reason for intelligence gathering potentially being covert operations. So if you've been long enough in the security industry, you will have run into the concept of trust circles, some formal, others informal. And in some aspects of security, the industry does value the trustworthiness of an individual by his or her ability to keep secrets. So for newcomers coming into the field, this can be an absurd, almost insurmountable barrier to acceptance and making them feel left out of the secret knowledge club, if you will. And that can be a very isolating experience. So in a workplace, creating an environment where newcomers are able to openly discuss the situations, like call it out, have honest dialogues around how and why certain information is guarded, can go a long way. As well, helping newcomers understand the rationale for why certain information is protected the way it is, could help dispel some of the misgivings around acceptance and understand that it's part of the job, it's part of the security practice, and it's not a personal mandate to exclude them. And I think that would certainly go a long way in making the workplace, a work environment, an accepting one for newcomers.
Thanks, Daksha. And that's all we have time for in this edition of the podcast, but be sure to read Daksha's Volume 5 article titled Balancing the Cybersecurity Battlefield.